They say we live in the most informed age in human history, a world where knowledge is only a click away. Yet, strangely, people have never been less capable of thinking for themselves. We scroll endlessly, consume mindlessly, and agree blindly, and somehow, in the noise of opinions and trends, something sacred has gone missing: our ability to think critically. It's not that people don't have access to truth, it's that most don't care to seek it. Because in a world addicted to speed, reflection feels like a waste of time, and thinking deeply, that's almost rebellious now. Critical thinking used to be a mark of maturity, a sign that someone didn't just follow, but questioned. Today, questioning has become a threat. If you don't agree with the crowd, you're labeled closed-minded, negative, or worse, a problem. So we silence our doubts, swallow our thoughts, and perform our agreement to belong. And just like that, we trade our intelligence for acceptance. But here's the paradox. We think we're free because we can speak our minds. Yet most of what we say isn't truly ours. It's borrowed, recycled, programmed echoes of what we've seen, heard, or been told to believe. We live in the age of collective thought, where individuality is praised, but conformity rules. Everyone wants to be different, but no one wants to stand alone. Everyone talks, but few truly understand. The decline of critical thinking didn't happen overnight. It crept in quietly, disguised as convenience, entertainment, and connection. It began the moment we started valuing feeling right over being right, when we started confusing being informed with being intelligent. Now, opinions are currency. Outrage is power, and facts, they're flexible, twisted to fit whatever side we're on. We no longer ask, is it true? We ask, does it support my side? And in doing so, truth itself has become irrelevant. Look around. People no longer debate to learn. They argue to win. We don't listen to understand. We listen to respond. We don't research to discover. We search to confirm. This is not thinking. It's self-validation disguised as intellect. It's easy to blame social media. But the problem runs deeper. Technology didn't kill critical thinking. It simply exposed how little of it there ever was. It amplified our tribal instincts, our need to belong, our fear of being wrong. We joined online crowds, mistaking collective emotion for truth, and in the process, the individual mind, the quiet, questioning, skeptical mind became extinct. When everyone speaks in unison, thinking becomes dangerous. You don't need to burn books to destroy knowledge. You just need to make people stop reading them. You don't need to silence truth. You just need to flood the world with noise until truth can't be heard. We scroll through hundreds of headlines a day, but understand none of them deeply. We form opinions within seconds, guided not by logic, but by likes, hashtags, and influencers who think for us. We are living in a digital hive, where independent thought is replaced by emotional synchronization. Outrage travels faster than logic, and simplicity always wins over complexity. The rise of collective stupidity isn't a lack of intelligence, it's a lack of reflection. We've become a civilization that reacts faster than it thinks. We mistake instant knowledge for wisdom, and emotion for evidence. The result? A society full of information, but starved of insight. Real critical thinking requires something rare: slowness. It asks you to pause, to doubt, to sit in the discomfort of not knowing. It asks you to listen, not to the loudest voice, but to the quiet one inside you that asks, is this true? But in a culture of speed, silence feels unbearable. So we keep consuming, keep scrolling, keep reacting, anything to avoid thinking too deeply about what we've become. Maybe that's why true intelligence today looks almost suspicious. Because deep thinkers don't rush to conclusions. They observe. They question. They change their minds, and in a world that glorifies certainty, that kind of humility looks like weakness. The tragedy of our time is not ignorance. It's arrogance. Everyone thinks they already know enough. And when you believe you know everything, you stop learning anything: history, has seen this pattern before. Every empire that collapsed began with the decay of thought. When people stopped questioning authority, when emotion replaced reason, when truth became subjective, when those who spoke differently were mocked or silenced. Today, it's happening again. Only this time, it's global. We don't burn people at the stake anymore. We cancel them. We don't censor books. We drown them in memes. We don't worship kings. We worship algorithms. And the new gods, the ones we sacrifice our time and attention to, don't demand faith. They demand engagement. But the outcome is the same: obedience. True critical thinkers are becoming rare not because they vanished, but because they stopped being heard. They exist quietly, in journals, in midnight thoughts, in conversations too deep for comment sections. They're the ones who pause before reacting, who say, "I don't know," in a world terrified of uncertainty. They're not always the loudest, but they're the last defense against a world that mistakes noise for truth. You see, the greatest danger of collective stupidity isn't that people become foolish. It's that they become certain of their beliefs, certain of their moral superiority, certain that anyone who disagrees is wrong. And once that happens, logic dies, replaced by self-righteousness. We're witnessing that everywhere, online, in politics, even in art. People no longer create to express truth. They create to align with trends. Ideas are filtered through fear of backlash, fear of being misunderstood, fear of not belonging, and in that fear, creativity suffocates. Critical thinking isn't just an intellectual skill. It's a moral responsibility. It means you refuse to accept easy answers. It means you choose curiosity over comfort. It means you care about truth more than tribe, and perhaps most importantly, it means you're willing to stand alone when everyone else is. Clapping for the same lie, but thinking for yourself has never been easy. It demands courage. The courage to be misunderstood, to be mocked, to be different. The courage to admit, I might be wrong. And that's something our world desperately lacks. We were taught that intelligence means knowing a lot, but real intelligence is knowing how little you actually know. It's understanding that truth is not found in algorithms or headlines, but in observation, reflection, and doubt. So how do we bring critical thinking back? Maybe it starts with something simple: silence. Turning off the noise long enough to hear your own thoughts again. Reading slowly. Listening carefully. Asking why before saying, I agree. It starts by remembering that disagreement doesn't make someone your enemy. It makes them a mirror. And maybe it's time we stop trying to win arguments and start trying to understand them. Because truth doesn't need to be shouted. It just needs to be seen. Imagine a world where people think before they speak, where curiosity replaces outrage, where learning is not a competition, but a connection. It sounds idealistic, maybe even naive, but that's the kind of naivety every revolution begins, with the belief that thought still matters. The rise of collective stupidity is not unstoppable, but it will continue as long as silence feels safer than truth, and that's the choice every individual must face: to blend into the crowd or to awaken the mind, because thinking, real thinking, is an act of rebellion now, and the world needs rebels who think more than ever before. So, if you've ever felt out of place in this noisy world, if you've ever hesitated before posting, before agreeing, before reacting, that hesitation is your strength. It means your mind is still your own. Guard it, feed it with curiosity, challenge it with doubt. Because once you lose it, you lose everything that makes you truly human. Maybe the goal was never to be right. Maybe it was always to stay awake, awake enough to question, to learn, to understand, because in the end, intelligence isn't about what you know. It's about how deeply you're willing to think. So tell me, in a world where everyone's speaking louder than ever, when was the last time you truly thought for yourself?